Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in your local government, the entities that make rules, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
And whether you live in the village of Oxford, Oxford Township, Leonard, Michigan, or Addison Township, these are the people that you elected, and the commissions and the committees that make rules and regulations that affect you, whether you attend these meetings or not, and that's why we're here.
That and to spread rumors.
And half-truths.
Actually,
you have to make up in your mind which one it is.
Actually, David does most of that. I just kind of go along and
He's
wing
rumor, I'm half-truth.
Yes, okay.
Anyway. I'm 50% right.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're there occasionally. But anyway, there's a lot of real honest stuff that goes on here.
Absolutely.
And you folks out there, you just have to kind of, find it.
He's going to get serious now.
Yeah. One thing we found, of course, is that our government is just laden with all kinds of humor.
Well, it is.
Sometimes you have to dig, and sometimes it's at the surface.
Faux pas, humor.
Right. And we try to bring it forward.
All waiting to be discussed at this little juncture.
Let's see what kind of humor you can find. We're going to talk about the Oxford Township Planning Commission meeting. And Todd Bell is the chairperson.
Yes.
And by the way...
By the way?
Yeah, by the way. That's your favorite segue.
Yes, it is. And kind of makes you go hail.
It does. But anyway, Todd Bell is really, I think, runs a real fine ship.
He runs a tight ship, as they say.
Does a good job. And other people that are on that board is Tom Berger, and a very knowledgeable guy, too, as is Jack Curtis, who sits on that board.
And Kelly Rossner.
And Kelly Rossner and Ed Hunwick.
Right.
Also serves on the Communications Commission. And these guys also serve on other boards, too. So they're pretty active in the community, but I really like the way Todd Bell runs his meetings.
They also serve who stand on committees.
They do. Well, the first thing they had, of course, is let's read off the minutes for last month.
Okay.
All those in favor? Here comes the ship. Aye.
Right? No one took exception. Good secretary.
Good secretary. And they said, hey, public, have you got anything to say?
Was there any public?
Well, yeah. 2 people stood up and said, yeah.
Oh, did they?
No, we don't have anything to say.
Okay.
So they said, okay, let's go on.
Just fooling.
Going on with the business. You got to keep him in tow here. But anyway, they said nobody responded. So Jack Curtis says, well, he said, one thing I'd like to talk about, he said, down the line, we don't have to do it tonight, but he wanted to discuss soil erosion and setbacks, and also storm water detention. He said the ordinances,
Not detention.
Detention.
You're going to put it in jail?
No, yeah, there's detention and retention.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, they did know that, huh?
How about rejection?
Detention could be rejected too, and that's kind of what was done here because it was tabled, and they said we'll talk about it in a different meeting.
Water table?
Water tabled. But anyway, so they Jack said, well, let's get back to detention. There is a difference.
Okay.
Detention could be a pond,
right
a holding area. It doesn't necessarily hold the water for any length of time, but eventually
it evaporates.
It evaporates or saturates. What do you call that word? Goes into the ground.
Yeah, soaks.
So yeah, that word. That's a very good word. So we'll use that one. It soaks into the ground. In other words, the pond can disappear.
Or permeates.
Yeah.
How's that?
It could do that. And the opposite of that, retention, is to actually have a pond that you coat the pond with clay or whatever to hold the water as a reservoir.
That's right. Call it a swimming pool.
Could do that, but you want to swim in your drinking water. Probably not.
You're going to drink that?
No. Got you, though, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Let's spread a rumor.
Never know where he's going.
Right. Bring your straws. Go down to the retention. No, you can't do that.
No.
Okay. So anyway, so they, he said.
There's little frogs floating belly up. Then don't do that.
Now, to get serious here, just for a moment, can you get serious? Okay. Just to get serious, just for a moment, let's just say that Jack Curtis says, well, some of these construction plans that we have really aren't necessary to have a soil erosion program. In other words, have the barriers set up and so forth, just by sheer nature of where they are and so forth. And likewise with the stormwater detention. He said there may be a natural detention pond there already, or something along that line, but let's discuss that at a later date. And they said, okay, good idea.
Called that hole over there.
All right. Jack says it needs to be worked on.
Okay.
And Jack is always right, pretty much, almost.
Perhaps.
Kinda. Anyway, good job, Jack. Stay on them. Anyway, unfinished business. They said, hey, any unfinished business? They said, yes, we do. We got 32 Adventure Lane, and it's Oxford Industrial Complex. And they've been here before and provided a plan.
Is that the one off Glassby Street?
That's one, yeah, I think it is. 3200 Adventure Lane. Is that would be next to it, right?
I think so.
Okay,
Okay.
look it up. Make a note.
Oh, God.
Okay. Anyway, they said the reason why they want an extension of their plan. Normally, there's like a 1-year period of grace in which they have to accomplish, their project, and they said that they'd like to have another 365 days because there's something
They don't want to increase their plan. They just want more days to do it.
more days to do it because they have under their glass a piece of railroad property, which is a right-of-way that may be open to their development and as part of it. They want to incorporate into it.
I thought they used to call that the Pollyant Trail.
This one is not the Pollyant
Okay.
Trail. I'd just like to see them take over the Pollyant Trail. That's not going to happen. There'd be an all-out war. But anyway, so they agreed that it was a good idea since they have to alter their site plan. So
Okay.
they went ahead with it and proved it. And they said the next thing is let's determine for 2765 Metamora Road, Casmer and Tool and Manufacturer. Casmer, Tool and Manufacturing.
Okay.
And they came back for the final plan approval. And the company,
That's down by, what is it? Devil's Ridge.
right, Wade Sullivan was a spokesperson for this company, and he stood up and presented his case, to the commission. And Todd Bell said, now before we get into this, he said, I want a disclosure
Uh-oh.
that he said that the company I work for actually uses this company, Casmer Tools and Manufacturing,
Right.
as one of our suppliers. And so at that time, Tom Berger, he said, do you directly get any financial compensation from doing this? And Todd says no. And he says, well, let's go ahead. It has nothing to do with anything.
So he was about to recluse him.
But he said,
excuse himself.
Right. He was about to excuse himself, but and of course Tom Berger thanked him, for presenting that information just in case. But good move on Todd Bell's part. So the one thing that was outstanding yet needs to be done is the landscape plan for this, and it's required. They have everything in place through Sharp Engineers have made recommendation as to what they need to do for the landscaping. And they kind of want a postponement for that until they reach that phase of the development, this building that they're going to build. Carlisle and Wortman, who's provided specs for this, everything has been pretty much
Are they the
concurred
planners
with.
or what?
Yeah, they're the planners.
Right.
Yep. So anyway, they felt, the commission was that there was no problem, that we'll go ahead and set this, this plan for trees and bushes and things around this thing as far as the exact plan for a later date.
All right.
So they went on to the next thing. They said, well, who do we have now? And they said, well, Chief Schultz, Fire Chief Schultz. And he said, I have some concerns, though, he said, about this location. He says, one is a fire-rated wall that needs to be put in this building, as well as a fire water available. In other words,
Fire-rated wall.
Yeah.
Just one wall?
Yeah, one wall. And also a fire-rated door that has to be put on the structure. It's going to be required. And he said that's what their
what
fire
code-
department would want.
That's what code is, right?
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Chief Schultz, he's pretty much on this thing too. And he checks all the safety issues, including security cameras and whatever is required. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we come back right after this.
See you then.
community.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Bill Service. I'm the producer of our Community Access. For nearly 10 years, Terry and I have been bringing our Community Access into your living rooms to keep you informed about what's happening in our communities.
We've all had great fun at our community events such as Lone Ranger and Strawberry Festivals.
We brought you natural wonders such as bees and ceremonies to bless them.
We've kept you informed of election issues and how your votes affect all of us.
And we've told you about our local artist important fundraisers that help the ones you love.
We've helped you get to know our new business neighbors and much, much more.
But we're not done yet. There's much more we plan to cover. So watch us weekdays on Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99 at 9:30 at 1, then at 7 o'clock, and Saturday at 9:30.
See you there.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about a gentleman that came forward to the Planning Commission.
The first gentleman or the last one?
The last, well, he won't be the first or the last, probably before it's done, but the Oxford Township Planning Commission. Right. And we were talking about Chief Schultz and his requirements, you know, for this building that they're talking about working with. He said that a pond, of course, would be required. And this is where they got into the detention or retention pond, the difference in it. Because
I guess if it was variable, it'd be an expansion.
it could be. It could be a lake, you know, they're not careful. But anyway, Tom Berger, he's the one that brought it up and the definition of, you know, what it was. And says, do you want a retention or detention? And they said, well, we want a retention pond there. In other words, if there's water required for a fire situation, we want to be able to pull it from the retention pond and not go to a pond that is no longer there.
Well, wait a minute. If it was a detention pond, it would retain the water more, wouldn't it?
Detention not. Detention, it evaporates, goes away. Retention,
and if it was retention,
will
it
hold
just
the
soaks
water.
right into the ground.
No, retention will hold it. It'll
Are you
retain.
sure?
Yeah. Won't detain it, it'll retain it. Detain, you want to detain somebody, you put them in jail, you detain
you
them for
sure?
a while. You want to retain them, you put them in jail and keep them there forever.
Retention, though, is basically that little grassy depression where water goes and soaks into the ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is what they said it was, so make a note.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, that being said, and I know he's wrong, guys, we'll go on to the next thing.
To be proven later.
To be proven, non-proven. So anyway, so they did provide the landscape waiver that the guy was seeking at this point, but with the stipulations that these other things be done too. Now, they said, what's going on with the Economic Development Committee? And that would be Jack Curtis in charge. Jack says, well, he says, we've got a special meeting coming up, he said October 7th,
Okay.
in which we'll talk about that.
Is that kind of like their township equivalent of the DDA?
Actually, it goes beyond that because it actually searches for people that are interested in purchasing properties, building developments in this area, expanding on the,
Yes.
yes. But see, DDA is only downtown,
Oh, I know that.
certain area.
Same purpose.
This is all township.
Right.
You got it now?
Just a question of degree.
Here comes the moon. Okay, you got it. All right. So they said, well, what about the safety pit? Safety pit. That's actually a safety pit. It costs a lot of money to build these safety paths.
But is it a detention or a retentional pit?
It could be an intentional one.
Oh.
Throw that word in there too. Okay. So anyway, they said, well, we'll discuss that at the next meeting that we have. So we won't get involved in this one. They said, well, what about the water line that we're sending into Lakeville? Remember the situation we talked about that, right?
Yeah, they're replacing the wells out there.
Yeah, well, actually, the wells are drying up out there, so they better do something, huh?
How much time they got?
Any minute.
Any minute now.
But something else has come in, loomed into existence here. And they said, Bill Dunn says, they're going to be running, Bill Dunn? Was it Bill Dunn? No, it was Jack Curtis,
Okay.
I think. Said they're going to be running a line down Drainer Road that we can tap into and then close the loop. We might pick off that one, and we need a little more work, you know, to research this, see if that might be an avenue that we could take.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? So,
That actually has a road that accesses.
yes. I
No,
see
it
the
doesn't.
wheels turning.
I just don't know where the connection would
The
be.
wheels have just come to a halt, folks.
Really, they have. I'm not sure where that would connect to.
That's all, folks. Anyway, we're going to talk about Addison.
You.
Let's talk about Addison Township Board of Trustees, shall we?
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
That's easier.
All right. We're going to Bruce Pearson, which is he's a supervisor of the township. Great
Right.
supervisor, does a great job.
Known as a magician.
Yeah, he makes money appear where who would have thought it would
Gets
never
things
appear.
done.
He gets things done. Yes. And that's the nice thing of Addison Township is that people do roll up their sleeves and do whatever is necessary. And we're going to talk about that a little bit because they did discuss this, in the meeting. A number of people on this board, very knowledgeable. But one of the first things that they did is, of course, they cover the minutes. There comes a ship. Aye. There it goes again. It was approved.
Thank you, Pauline.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. Pauline Bennett, as a clerk, would have taken care of that part of it. And then they said, well, let's have a public hearing now, the first public hearing, and that would be on the lights. And it's what they call a SAD. You know what SAD is? Special Assessment District.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't know about that, huh?
I thought it was Students Against Drunk Driving.
Well, that would be in your category. However, this particular one is Special Assessment District.
Yeah.
And what it requires is somebody takes up a petition. They say, hey, my lake has got weeds in it. I want them taken out. And they get enough signatures on it, and they'll go in and they'll clean the weeds out.
Right.
But they will be assessed for it. In other words, an additional tax placed on each piece of property that is affected by it.
Is it called a surcharge or just an extra assessment?
It's called an extra assessment, special assessment.
Special.
Special. Everything is special.
Only for those houses which benefit from it.
Right. But anyway, this lady stood up and she said, hi, I'm Mrs. Newby. And she says, I'm paying, from what I can gather, for 7 lights, and I'm only using 1. Why do I have to pay for 7 lights? And so, actually, here's where Lori Fisher stepped in, who's the treasurer. And she gave a very good summation of why, the expenses are distributed over a number of different properties, for lighting. And that's what we're talking about here is lighting.
So they took all the lights and divided them by the number of houses?
You got it. And it comes out to $67 per piece of property, roughly,
Total? No, that's not bad.
per year.
Per year.
So that, yeah. And
For how many years?
5 years.
Okay.
Funny you should ask.
I did.
Okay. But this is a renewal, and they want to renew it.
Okay.
And so Mrs. Newby and her husband, who eventually, he stood up too, and he disagreed with the concept of how this was broken down, how it was charged out. And that there's some people that are paying maybe that shouldn't be paying, and others that are paying too much, involved. So he said that the whole thing needs to be looked at again.
Well, basically, they're paying for a communal utility.
They are doing that, but they're paying for it anyway. This is just an extra
Okay.
because they put in LED lights for this, or no, lights at some point. I don't know if these are LEDs, but they did this a number of years back. Actually, the first SAD, I think, was over 10 years ago. They
They
came
wouldn't
out
have
with.
had LEDs at that point.
They wouldn't have had them then. But if they upgrade them, they'll certainly go to LEDs. And
Right.
watch out for the $67
Well, there's a lot of advantages, especially like the ones they have in Oxford. I mean, they save a tremendous amount of energy. And they
Right.
can be controlled, I believe, by a central dispatch area.
They can be. And here's the thing, though. With this one, they spent quite a time discussing, the breakdown and who should pay what, when, and how it should be distributed. So the feeling of the board was, well, let's look at this more in detail for this particular district. Now, there's several districts that have SADs. This district, they said, well, maybe there is some concern that we need to, look into. So they said that they'll put it on the table, and for the next public hearing that they have, they'll rediscuss it again. Not that they'll accept it, but they may or may not discuss it. And so that was the approach that they took on this. Then they went to the next SAD district area that they are charging for, and we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Same utility?
Same utility.
Okay.
We'll talk about it when we come back, right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kinney.
And we are talking about lights. We're going to light up
That's right.
Addison Township, aren't we?
And sad.
Yep. Lakeville, actually. One of the districts we just talked about was actually in the Lakeville area.
SADs.
SADs. And
And
the second SAD, which SAD is a special assessment district.
not Students Against Drunk Driving?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's extra tax. But the only way that you get it, as I explained before, is that you have to have a petition taken up by the residents
To get it.
to get it. Yep. So the second one was,
Well, you're getting the utility, and then you get the charge.
right. Well, the second assessment that they're looking at, the special assessment district, and these are renewals, was for District 2. First one was District 1.
Renewal meaning you were already paying
Already
this,
paying.
and now we're going to extend it another X number of
It's
years.
about to expire, so they're going to renew it. So they said, is anybody here for the public hearing for District 2? Nobody there. Good, let's approve it. So it was done. $44 for 5 years.
And that's why you should show up at these
They
meetings.
just show up, yes. You see what the newbies did, okay? So show up to the meetings. But anyway, so that one's pretty much nailed down. So they said, okay, well, let's go to another SAD that we have, and that's for Manatee Road. And one guy said, well, I think in Indian, if you were to say it in Indian language, it'd be Monik Road. Monik Road, whatever. Well, he says, okay, it spells Manatee. We'll call it Manatee. But anyway.
Not going there.
Not going there. But it's for brine, chloride for the roads.
Calcium chloride?
Yep. To put on the road, and it's $12 per parcel is the charge. And that is under an SAD. The township pays 50% of that, and the homeowner pays
how
the
long
other
does
half.
chloriding, when you first chloride a road, how long does it typically last for?
How long is the road? I don't know.
No, I just
I have no
wondered
idea.
if they have to redo it
Depends
every so
on
often.
when the dust comes up, then put more chloride on. Usually the residents will complain probably at that point. Or in Addison Township, I'm sure they're right on top of it.
I'm sure they are.
So they know. They see dust cloud. Better go out there with the chloride. They take care of it. $12 isn't much, and as I say, the township pays 50% of it.
Oh.
So they approved that, like bingo, done, approved. Now, one other issue came up, and they said, well, we need to sell the old generator. That we have a new generator for the fire department.
Oh.
I want to sell the old one, and it's, I believe, 10 kilowatts to 15 kilowatts, roughly.
No, it's good size.
Pretty good size.
Auto start?
I don't know.
Sure.
How do we know?
Well, I mean, cold start, auto start.
But you can go to eBay and you can find it out there because that's where they're going to put it.
Not even on Craigslist.
No, not on Craigslist, eBay.
Okay.
It's going to be a $1,000 for bid, I guess, for.
Oh, wow.
That's what they're asking for. So, of course,
Shipping will be expensive.
that would be really expensive, probably. So, well, actually, if you live in Michigan, it probably wouldn't be so expensive. You probably drive over and pick it up
If you can.
if you can. Yep.
Put that in the back of your Volkswagen.
Excuse me, you sure could do that. Jerry Moransky, he said that he's requested a new command truck, and it would be a Tahoe. Now, we talked about that again recently, not long ago. But so he's just looking for the approval for it, and it's done through the Open County Cooperative.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And they actually take bids from all over Michigan, and the one
have-
they accepted was through Berger Chevrolet, wherever that is. Don't
They
tell
have,
me.
they have a select list of approved dealers
Right.
for various products.
$37,291. Approved. Aye. Done.
Oh,
So he's going to get a truck.
they have an old truck?
They have an old truck. They're going to be selling it. You want to buy it?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Nice truck.
I'm sure. The fire,
Yeah.
Is it fire department or?
So I got 2
police?
miles on
Is
it.
it fire department or police? I'm
New
sorry.
engine. I'm just kidding.
No, is it fire department or police?
Oh, this is the fire department.
Okay.
Jerry Moransky.
Only made on short runs,
chief.
folks.
Yeah, right. So anyway, they said, well, how are we doing on the township hall? And Bruce Pearson said, well, we need a couple of door keypads that we didn't plan in the original plan, and the cost is like $1,200 to do this. They said, well, can we use the old keypads? No, they're not compatible with the existing doors we're getting, so they're not going to work. So they said, well, what other choice do we have? We use keys. They said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to use keypads so we know who's coming in and out. So they approved the keypads, and they're going to do it. And by the way, they're
Everyone will have
they're
their
below
own,
budget.
Everyone
you know.
will have their own little key combo,
Yep, I think they will.
so they'll know who they are.
They know who they are. And the neat thing is that Bruce Pearson said we're way below budget, you know, on this. So he said we're doing good, but that's because people have donated to us. For example, the roof was donated, and it's a value of $82,000 was given to us. And that brings me to a point where we need vinyl soffits around the roof. That wasn't part of the roof deal. And somebody started to say, well, why not, you know? And he said, remember, $82,000 was donated for the roof. You know, let's not quibble over it. So they said, well, hey, that makes sense. I suppose,
So
you know,
how
we'll
much?
go
How
ahead and
much
get
is
'em.
this going to cost extra?
That's going to cost $6,000,
Oh.
roughly, that neighborhood for the new vinyl soffits.
Well, you don't want any things to get wet.
Yeah. They had a representative there from the contracting company that presented various tiles that they can use for the lobby and that kind of thing. Then the question came up, you know, the contracts are due for the snow blowing and also for mowing lawn for next year. And Bruce says, how do you want to do this? He said, the people that have been doing it have been doing a great job on it. You know, do you want to stick with the people that we have, or you want to get all, you know, multiple bids again, you know, to go out? And most of the commissioners at that point says, well, you know, it wouldn't hurt to take additional bids, but, you know, keep an eye on, you know, the possibility of keeping these people too as we go along, because they have been doing a good job for us, and they're reasonable. They've maintained their pricing, you know, for us. They haven't, you know, increased cost. So that's a good thing for the community. And Bruce Pearson said, well, one more thing. He said, I have to mention. Remember last winter, he said, when we lost power, you know, particularly on, you know, the main highway here. He said for something like a couple of weeks or so, he says, before we got it back on, he said, well, they have actually put a connection in now that if they lose power coming one way, they can flip a switch and it'll come in from another way.
Boy, I need that where I live.
Yeah, and actually it is available. I mean, fairly expensive, but I guess Bruce worked out something
I wouldn't
with
have
the
to
power.
roll out my generator.
Yeah, with DTE, I think they worked it out. And I'm not at all sure it's a manual switch or it's an automatic switch now. Could be automatic.
You know, it sounds like it might be an automatic. I mean, sensing that one power gets cut off, the other one just switches right on.
Right. But he said that system has been in place now for a while. And you may have noticed that the last time when power was cut off, there was just a trip over. He said you didn't lose, but maybe a matter of a few minutes,
Oh,
you know, in power. We're a whole lot better than, can you say, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
In the middle of a snowstorm. Not a good thing. So anyway, so he said, I think our power problems are now resolved, you know, with DTE.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time. So what's coming up next?
We do have meetings. On 10/6 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. On 10/8 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission. And at 7 o'clock, the Addison Township Zoning Board of Appeals, ZBA. On 10/12,
I want to check on that one.
10/12 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township ZBA. And
Check on
at
that
7
one,
o'clock
too.
that same day, Village of Leonard Council, one of your favorites. And on 10/13 at 7:30, Addison Township Planning Commission. And at 6:30 that day, the Village of Oxford Council. Got 2 good ones coming up.
We have a lot of pretty good meetings coming up. You folks, you don't want to miss these meetings. You see what happens when you're not there. They make decisions for you, and that's part of the humor, right?
You can't even say, but.
This is Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you right here next time.
See you then.